Jesse Lucetta's issues pregame yesterday?
I was driving in, and I was surprised at how he got to the stadium. But it goes to show you we got good fans. But yeah, I'm glad he got there on time. But kind of wild.
In all your years coaching, has any player had something like that on game?
No, not that I can remember off the top of my head, truthfully. No. I'm kind of laughing about it now. It's really not funny, but it's I would have been freaked out if I would have got a flat tire on my way in. But yeah, I'm thankful for the family of 5. I heard, picked them up and got an A-lot pass for him, so that was good. But glad he got there and suited up and played.
Any updates with Starling Thomas?
No, still sorting through it. I always look at the clock. Still sorting through it. We'll see. Might not be. I'm still sorting through it.
You said yesterday, it's never as bad as it seems. It's
Yeah.
as good as it seems. After watching the tape, however many times you have so far, what's your impressions now?
Yeah, good question. Just that. I told the guys today too, like the consistency. This is everybody, coaches, players, everybody. Like if you want some solutions and you want some answers, we have to be more consistent throughout a ball game, and that starts with practice. But throughout a ball game of alignment, assignment, key, technique. And, it would be, you look at the tape and this play has a chance, but one guy gets beat, technique, this or that, or this has a chance and we're a little bit off, or we don't fit right, or whatever it may be. And it's not the blame game, it's just the truth. You know what I mean? For us to function how we want to function and win games, we got to be more consistent with what we're doing, because we show at times that we're consistent, and we put that together for 60 minutes, which we haven't done a ton this year. That's what we're striving for, but we can beat anybody. But we have to do those things to give ourselves a chance. So that's what the tape revealed to me, honestly, today. And it's never about one guy, one call here, one call there. It's never about that. It's all of us together.
You've been around this league for a long time. Do you think fans on the outside, whether a team is winning or losing, do you think fans would be surprised with how well coaches and players are able to move on to the next game after whatever result they get on a Sunday?
You'd have to ask them. I think you got to have a what would be the phrase? See, I'm not very smart. I'm not good with words. You got to have a quick memory, short memory. You got to move on. So, yeah, probably, because probably in 2 days I won't even know who we played last week. Truthfully, like it's hard for me to grasp. Who did we just play? That's just me. I'm kind of. That's how our players are. That's how we've kind of trained them. Like after today, right now, they're watching film on Pittsburgh. So, you gotta really focus in on the details of what we got to do to get better. For the 24 hours after a game, these meetings that we just had. But then you do got to turn the page and move on, because it just recycles. It's the next week, so that's what they're doing.
Going back to consistency, does that affect the essence of the NFL in terms of what separates teams who could be more consistent?
Probably, Howard. Truthfully, yeah, I do think that. I mean, can you do what you're coached to do consistently through a game? And I give the analogy, kind of not analogy, but I give the example of, if you're a DB, say, because, that's what I grew up coaching, and it's like you can, play extremely well for 59 plays and you get beat on 4, and they might be 4 critical plays that it's not the reason you lose the game, but people see that and it's like, oh man, and then you lose by 7, you're like, well, what happened? Well, those 2 plays right there, like we got to have consistency of technique or leverage or whatever it is. And that's everybody, and that's why I say it's not one position. But yeah, I think playmaking stems from consistency of those things too. How often can you win your one-on-one, and if we have 11 guys doing that, then you have the chance for the play to work, and so I think you always strive for that perfect game. You'll never have it, but that's what you strive for, and the more plays you can do your job at a high level, the better chance your unit has.
How do you feel that there's so many issues with the consistency at this point in the season?
I wouldn't say so many issues. It's just, there's been some things that we've worked on that we've cleaned up, but, you point out as a unit, as individuals, as the units, so I'm the left guard. You point out what you want to get done, what we got to do a little bit better at. Here are these couple emphases. Then you point out, okay, the O-line, we got to get this a little bit better here. Offense, we got to get this a little bit better here. So, and each game, because of the opponent and the game plan and how the game goes, that all then kind of changes on every Monday. You know what I mean? But with saying that, when you identify those things that you want to work on, you want those things to be kind of corrected and solved, and then those things should be a little more consistent than other things that you're going to have to fix. So it's kind of a cycle of that, as you go through the week and then the game and then the corrections. And, what you hope to is if you make a mistake here or there, or you need a technique that's fixed, that you can improve those things and to do them consistently to give yourselves a chance.
What have you seen from JT having back-to-back games with interceptions? Obviously, we know how important the takeaway battle is, but to do that and to also be one of the team's leading tacklers over these previous 2 3
Yeah,
weeks.
he's playing well. I mean, we deploy him in different ways. We put a lot on his plate. I think between him and Buddha, they have a really good understanding of where each guy's going to be, the pre-snap stuff of making certain calls, making sure everyone's on the same page, adjusting the formations and the coverages, fitting in the run game. I mean, he does it all for us, and the takeaway is kind of a byproduct of being in the right position and playmaking, being where he's supposed to be, playing with good technique, and then making the play when it comes to him. So he's had a good run here last month or so.
With the way they were able to run the ball, which was certainly the case in the second half of the first game, is it a combination of a lot of things, good blocking, guys being in the right place, tackling, or is this kind of everything?
Yeah, a little bit of combination, too, of how you have to defend that team. You're going to play in some light boxes at times, you know what I mean? So, the game kind of got out of hand there in the second half, I would say. So now it becomes, they're going to run it a little bit more than throw it, and we adjusted calls there too. But starting out the game, you're okay with a little bit of run game leakage. I know that sounds crazy to say, but you don't want to get the ball thrown over your head. And how they deploy people, you want to be good against the pass versus that team, and they do a good job of running it too. So some of that, I guess, is on how we decided to play them, and then other things, what you just said, Howard, is angles, the cup, I call it, make sure we lost the force a couple times, playing blocks the correct way, fitting in the right spots. All those things go into run defense, and it's all 11 guys. So, because each guy that played, I'm sure, kind of wants some plays back of in the run game, what happened and why certain runs led to being high yardage, So. We always have to do that's if you give up 60 yards rushing in a game, you're always going to have to improve things. You give up 160, you give up 260, there's always things you need to improve. But I think where it got a little out of hand were the explosives off of runs, and a couple calls that probably shouldn't go for explosives, so we got to clean those up.
You talked about the effort after the game. You said the effort was there, it's always been there, but maybe the energy wasn't where you wanted it to be. How do you go about generating that? Is that to the coaches, certain players to get together?
Yeah, I told him today, I mean, that's the first part to that question is me, how I set up the week. Just how we decided to go about this last week. I take a good hard look at that. And then from there, it's, we talk to the team about, and that's why I say to the coaches too, I call it sustained positive enthusiasm. You have to be able to do that when it's inconvenient, and that's hard, but you have to be able to do that to give yourself a chance to win. So, that was just my feeling walking off the field, watching the tape. Like I said, the effort was there. We didn't have guys pulling out of the game. We didn't have guys loafing. We didn't have guys turning down hits, which are the first markers that I look for if we're into it or not. We didn't have any of that. I think I just want a little more. What I told the team today was I need to see a little more juice and energy on the sideline when we come off all 3 phases, and the want to when we get back out there to make positive things happen.
You've seen Kyler trying to get the ball down the field to Hollywood, and obviously there's a long connection, a history there between them two. How can you as a coach and the staff kind of, or what are you guys seeing in terms of trying to get that connection?
Yeah, we'll keep practicing it and being on the details of those things. And when they're there, we gotta hit them. But I think just within the certain play types that we're trying to do those things, make sure we practice it the right way, execute it in practice, and then it'll happen in the game.
In terms of the game getting out of hand, like you said, in the second half, there were still 2 scores with late in the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it was 16 points, but still
Yeah.
essentially 2 scores. And then moving the ball.
Yeah.
Was there a consideration on that 4th and 6 to go for it? And you went for the field goal. We know Matt can make it, but of course the miss puts them in great field position. They
Yeah.
scored, and that was. Really
Yeah,
good.
I didn't like the range, honestly, at that down and distance, and I was trying to get it to 13. So 2 scores, you don't need 2 points to win the game, truthfully. Howard, that's a good question. Because there's been times in certain games that I've went for it there. I just thought that was kind of the right play, try to get it down to 13 instead of being 16. But, you know, we missed it. But you know that if you go for it and don't get it, or kick it and don't get it, you're going to give them field position. So we've got to go out there and get a stop.
Post-game, you said that it wasn't competitive enough for you, and so you're going to look at how you set up the week. Does that mean the details, or is that looking at the drills and how you're going over what you installed in training camp? What do you do?
Yeah, good question, Danny. Everything, you know, starting with my meetings with the coordinators, how the game's plan is set up, how we're going to call all 3 phases, what we do in practice, our tempos in practice, how long, which compete periods to emphasize, what carded periods to emphasize. You know, I take a good hard look at everything within the form of our process, but I have the ability, you can tweak certain things and pull certain straws, and hopefully that gives us a little bit of jump start. But I just, you know, just being whatever we were down in the 4th quarter, I didn't like, that's what I mean by not, you know, kind of out of the fight a little bit. You know, I don't ever like to go into a 4th quarter or wherever it was, be down that much. Because you know that it's hard to mount a comeback of that, you know, nature. But so we'll look at it, and every week's a different week. You know, this is a 2-day trip for us. We're playing on the road now versus a significantly different defense and offense. So got to make sure that I'm putting our guys in position that where they can be successful on Sunday.
Is there, the way, just the details that you were just talking about, is there ever a time when you're thinking of tweaking later in a season because of where you might be in the standings, or is it important for you to keep the process the same whether you were 10-2 or 2-2?
Yeah, no, the process is the same, but what you have to tweak is the health of the team, you know, who we have practicing, all those things go into play too. So no, record is never an issue with me about what we're doing. That's living in the past. It's, you know, who's healthy, where's our bye, what have we done, where are we at with the quarterback, where are we at with the you know, all those things go into that. So, and then you talk to different people and get their input and then make the decision. But the players are honestly a really good barometer of that, you know, and you can't please everybody. Certain guys want to do different things, different days, but they get the leadership in the locker room has a good pulse of what we need to.
He didn't run as much yesterday as he had in the first 2 games. Was that by design, or was that more his choice?
I think probably a little bit of both. You know what I mean? I mean, there's times where his improvisation is just that. And then there were some called things. I think he scored on the touchdown run. You know, we got him out of the pocket a couple times and ended up throwing those for productive plays where if those are taken away, he's got the chance to run it. So I thought the blend was pretty good, honestly.
A little bit of a lighthearted one. Jesse said, talking about the situation, that normally going to the games, he likes to listen to music, and that's kind of his way of locking in. Do you have any like pregame routine or superstitions yourself?
No, I'm not superstitious. No.
Just a little Wilson.
Just yeah.
With Michael Wilson, is it trying to be careful with him, or is there a concern that this could linger?
No, just doing the right thing for him and the team, truthfully. So he's trending the right way. We'll see where it goes this week.